I showed up for a dinner I paid for. A private room at the Landmark Bistro, one of those places with exposed brick walls, Edison bulbs, and a printed menu that says chef's pairings instead of specials. I'd put the deposit down weeks ago, $800 to reserve the space, another $1, $200 for the family-style meal. 18 people. Vegan options for Ava, no red wine for Aunt Celeste, and gluten-free rolls for Uncle Perry. I thought of everything. I always do. When I pulled into the lot, something felt off. No familiar cars, no noise, no Ava honking at the wrong time, or Dad's truck parked half crooked. Just the hush of a quiet Friday. I checked my phone again Friday. 7 p.m., Landmark Bistro. Can't wait to see everyone that was from Mom. Sent 2 weeks ago. Confirmed 3 days ago. It was 7:02 p.m. I was right on time, like a fool. Inside, the hostess barely looked up. "Whitmore party?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She blinked, then scanned the list. "Oh, yeah, that was last night. Thursday, they had a big group, brought place cards, cake. It looked lovely." I froze. "No, that's not possible. It's tonight. I made the reservation myself." She tilted her head. "Sorry, ma'am. I'm just going by the list. They were here. 18 people." My mouth opened, but no sound came out. Just a laugh, dry and short, the kind that cuts your own throat on the way out. I stepped outside and called my mom. "Hi, sweetie," she answered, voice too cheerful. "Where is everyone?" Pause. Then that light, airy laugh she uses when she knows she's done something wrong but doesn't care to admit it. "Oh, honey, it was yesterday. We figured you weren't coming, but don't worry, we saved you a plate. We'll drop it off." I didn't say goodbye. I didn't say anything. I just stared at the sidewalk phone still in my hand, while behind me the restaurant lights reflected on the glass door I had never been allowed to walk through. And I remember thinking, did they forget? Or did they want me to feel it? It wasn't the first time they left me out. Not even close. It was just the first time they didn't bother to pretend. I think that's what stung the most. No excuses, no made-up emergencies, no awkward reschedules, just silence and a plate of leftovers. When I was younger, I thought being the responsible one was something to be proud of. My name is Rachel Whitmore. I'm the oldest daughter. I don't live nearby, I don't make messes, and I don't need much. That's how they describe me. Ava. She was the bright one, the baby, the one who just needed a little help to get on her feet. So I helped. The first time was after college when Ava couldn't make rent. Mom called me worried. "She's trying so hard, Rach. It's just at this 1 month." I wired $600 that night. That 1 month turned into a year and a half. Then came her car insurance. Then a temporary phone bill. Then tuition for a massage therapy course she never finished. And never refunded me for. When I brought it up gently, just gently, I got the same answer every time. "Stop being so transactional. She's your sister. You're doing better than her. Why are you keeping score?" But I wasn't keeping score. I was bleeding and they refused to notice. Last Christmas I maxed out my savings to get gifts for everyone. I didn't want anything big, just a card maybe. Instead, I got a box of peppermint bark and a photo of the family framed in gold. I wasn't in it. No one even noticed. 2 years ago, Ava texted me at 11 p.m. emergency. "Bailey ate a sock. Vet bill is $800, please." I sent it immediately. The next morning, she posted a story: "New nails, mimosa brunch, and some guy's tattooed hand on her thigh." Caption: "Soft life season." I sent the story to Mom. She replied, "You always take things so personally. She's just trying to live. No one asked if I could afford it. No one asked if I was okay. Even when Dad missed the property tax filing on their house and got a lien warning, it was me who bailed them out. Quietly, an online wire transfer from my emergency fund. He didn't even say thank you. He just texted handled. There was a night I still think about it when I heard what they really thought of me. It was after I had sent Ava $1, $200 to help cover a bounced check and a shutoff notice. I was home visiting. I came downstairs late to grab water and heard voices in the living room. Ava. She's obsessed with being the martyr. It's sad, honestly. Mom? I know. She acts like she's our savior or something just because she pays for stuff. Dad chuckling. Let her pay. She's not married. What else is she gonna do with her money? Ava again. Smug. She thinks we'd fall apart without her. Please. If she disappeared tomorrow, I wouldn't even notice. I stood frozen in the hallway, water glass in hand, heart pounding. They didn't know I was there. Or maybe they didn't care. The next morning, Mom made pancakes, blueberry, like nothing had happened. I didn't confront them. I just smiled through breakfast and drove back to Minneapolis before lunch. I didn't cut them off then. I should have. But Ava texted 3 days later. "Rach, I'm short on rent. Promise this is the last time." And I sent it. Because that's what I did. That's who I was. Until that night at the Landmark Bistro, standing in a parking lot with no one inside and 18 people full of food I paid for. That was the moment I realized it wasn't just that they didn't appreciate me. It's that they'd decided I was easier to use when I wasn't in the room. I didn't drive home that night. I got in my car, turned off the engine, and just sat there. The parking lot was nearly empty. A few valets in vests moved around slow bored. Inside, other parties clinked their forks against plates. I sat behind glass unseen. The silence was thick. I could feel it settle into the car like fog. I reread the message again. Friday, 7 p.m., Landmark Bistro. Mom had sent it. I'd even replied, confirmed. Got the deposit down. 3 days before the dinner. 14 messages in total, all from me. Not one of them acknowledged. Not one of them corrected the date. They knew. They all knew. And they came anyway. Just without me. My hands were shaking, not from cold, not from rage. Something worse. The kind of shaking that comes from realizing you've been screaming in your head for years and not one of them ever listened. Because they didn't have to. I thought of Ava laughing cake in her mouth. Of Mom fussing with place cards. Of Dad raising a glass in a toast I'd never hear. And I realized I was never really invited. I was included when I was useful. I was tolerated when I was paying. But I was never wanted. That truth sat heavy in my chest, but it didn't crush me the way I thought it would. It steadied me. For so long, I'd told myself being needed was enough. That love could sound like requests. That family could look like invoices disguised as affection. But love isn't measured by how much someone expects from you. It's measured by whether they show up when there's nothing to take. No one had ever shown up for me. I don't know how long I sat there. An hour, maybe more. Somewhere in that stillness, something in me cracked, not loudly, not like a bone breaking, more like a seam tearing open. Soft, slow, irreversible. I didn't cry. I didn't call anyone. I didn't scream into the night like some movie heroine. I just pulled out a receipt from my glove box and began calculating. Appetizers. Vegan entree upgrade for Ava. Sparkling cider for Aunt Celeste. Gratuity at 22%. $2.40, $84. Exactly. I stared at that number until it burned into the back of my eyes. Tomorrow, they'd learn what it feels like when the person they ignored stops playing her part. And I knew exactly where I'd start. The next evening, I sent a message in the family group chat. It was short. Just 12 words, I'll be at Mom's at 7 p.m. I have something for everyone. No one asked what it was. Of course they didn't. They never asked anything when it came to me. At 6:58, I pulled into the driveway. The porch light was on. Inside, I could see silhouettes moving through the living room. Ava on her phone. Dad in his recliner. Mom fluffing throw pillows like we were hosting company. When I stepped inside, they all looked up, but no one said sorry. No one even looked guilty. "Hi, honey," Mom said. "We weren't sure if you were still upset." I didn't respond. I just sat down and placed a thick white envelope on the coffee table. Ava squinted. "What's that?" "It's a bill," I said flat. "For the dinner. The one you held without me." Dad snorted, sitting forward. "You're joking." "I'm not." Mom's smile tightened. "Are you seriously trying to make us pay you back?" "No," I said, leaning in slightly. "I'm giving you the option, because from this point forward, anything you want from me comes with an invoice." The room stilled. Even Ava put her phone down. Dad's voice deepened. "You need to drop this attitude. We're family." "Are we?" I asked. "The same family that intentionally excluded me from a reunion I paid for. The same family that's drained me financially and emotionally for years." Ava rolled her eyes. "No one made you pay Rachel. That's on you." And that's when it snapped again, not a crack this time, but a clean break. I stood up. Fine, I said. Let's talk about what no one made me do. I reached into my bag and pulled out a second folder. Inside was a printed list, each line neatly labeled and dated. I pointed at Ava. No one made me pay your rent for 18 months or your bounced checks or your failed tuition deposit. I turned to Mom. No one made me pay your back property taxes or cover your birthday cruise when you said Dad forgot. I looked at Dad. No one made me pick up groceries when Mom said her knee hurt too much to stand. Watch it, Dad said, voice hardening. Oh, I'm just getting started, I replied. I laid the folder flat on the coffee table and opened it. Receipts, wire transfers, Venmo screenshots, auto-pay confirmations, all of it. What's this now? Dad snapped. Documentation, I said. Every transaction, every dollar. Because last week I got a fraud alert. Turns out someone opened a new credit card in my name. Ava went still. I called the company. They're investigating it as identity theft. The shipping address matched this house. I looked Ava straight in the eye. And the charges? An iPhone. A spa day. Funny you posted about both. Claimed it was a gift from a friend. Mom's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Ava stood abruptly. You're seriously doing this over that? No, I said. I'm doing this because I finally can. And for the first time, no one had a clever answer. No one moved. Ava's arms were crossed, but her jaw was clenched now. Her usual smirk had slipped just slightly. I thought we were done with this, she said too loud. It's not even a big deal. You always help. What difference does it make if the card was in your name? There it was. The confession. Bare-faced, shameless. Mom jumped in, voice trembling. She panicked Rachel. It was just one mistake. You know how much pressure she's under. Stop, I said. Dad stood. You really want to send your sister to jail over this? No, I replied. But I want her to know she doesn't get to hide behind the word family anymore. I reached into the folder and pulled out the police report form, filled, signed, filed. I submitted this yesterday morning, I said, placing it gently on the coffee table. It's already in the system. I got a confirmation call from a detective this afternoon. Ava's face went pale. Are you serious completely? Mom looked like she'd been slapped. You're destroying this family. No, I said. I'm refusing to let it keep destroying me. No yelling, no slamming doors, just the slow unraveling of a story they'd always controlled. For the first time, I could see it, the fear behind their eyes. Not of prison, maybe, but of exposure. They knew I meant it this time. And more than that, they knew I could. Ava laughed, suddenly brittle and sharp. So what, you want money? I check. Fine, I'll pay you back. No, you won't, I said quietly. Because this isn't just about money. This is about all the years you used me and called it love. All the times you drained me dry and told me I was lucky to be needed. Silence. Then, Dad stepped forward, voice low and heavy. You think this makes you some kind of hero? No, I said, standing. It makes me free. I turned to leave, folder still in hand. Behind me, I heard Ava mutter something under her breath. Mom cried quietly. Dad didn't move. And just as I reached the door, I heard a voice from the far corner of the room. It wasn't any of them. It was Marcus, my cousin. The quiet one. The one who never spoke during dinners, never took sides, never asked for anything. I'd like to pay my share, he said softly. Everyone turned to him. He cleared his throat. For the dinner. It's only fair. And I knew. About the date change. I was there when they joked about not telling you. He looked down. I didn't say anything. I'm sorry. For the first time all night, I smiled. Thank you, I said. Then I walked out. Not because I'd won, there was nothing to win, but because I'd finally stopped playing a game I never agreed to. The next morning, at exactly 8:17 a.m., my phone rang. Private number. I answered. Hi, is this Rachel Whitmore? A male voice asked. Yes. This is Officer Grant from the St. Paul Police Department. We're following up on a report of identity theft and unauthorized credit card use. The billing address is listed as your parents' residence. I closed my eyes. Yes, I said. That's correct. We'll be stopping by today to speak with the household. You're not required to be present. Just letting you know. Do you need anything from me? No, ma'am. You've done your part. We'll take it from here. He hung up. I sat on the edge of my bed for a long time staring at the stillness. For once, I didn't feel dread about the doorbell ringing. I didn't wonder what they'd say, because it wasn't my mess to manage anymore. Later that day, Mom left me a voicemail. She never leaves voicemails. Rachel, her voice started tight like she was holding back panic. They came. The police. They showed up this morning while I was still in my robe. Dad hadn't even had his coffee yet. 2 officers. They asked to speak with all of us. All of us, Rachel, she exhaled sharply. They said someone opened a credit card in your name. Said the charges matched this address. Her voice cracked. They asked to look at Ava's phone. That's when the story began to collapse. Ava had tried to leave the room, said she was late for work. The officers asked her to sit back down. She fidgeted, argued, then folded. It wasn't fraud, she said. Rachel, she always helps. I thought she wouldn't care. But then they checked her messages. Screenshots. One text sent to a friend used Rachel's info for the spa. She's too uptight to notice. Whatever. It wasn't just theft. It was documented intent. That night, I got another call from Detective Hanley, who'd taken over the case. We have enough to move forward with charges, he said. Would you like to proceed? I didn't answer right away. Instead, I scrolled through the dozens of messages now pouring in. From Mom. We can fix this. Just talk to us. From Dad. You're going to ruin your sister's life over a card. From Ava. You selfish bee, I'll lose everything. You really want that funny. No one cared when I was losing pieces of myself. I waited a full day. Then I called the detective back. For now, I said pause the formal charges, but I want it on record. If she ever touches anything with my name again, I want her charged immediately. He agreed. And just like that, the weight shifted. Not because they apologized, not because they changed, but because for the first time I stopped carrying it. 3 days later, Mom called again. Her voice was soft. Too soft. Like silk laid over a blade. If you really want to fix things, she said, come to the house. Let's talk face to face. Against my better judgment, I went. They were all there. Ava curled on the couch with a blanket over her like some wounded animal. Mom pacing. Dad, silent arms crossed. We just want to heal, Mom said, sitting across from me. We know you're hurt, but this is tearing the family apart. No, I said. Ava did that. You all did that when you decided I was easier to use than to include. Ava didn't even look at me. I didn't think you'd actually go to the cops, she said, her voice cracking. Who does that? Someone who's been pushed far enough, I replied. Mom reached for my hand. We'll pay it back. You don't need the police. We can keep this between us. I pulled my hand away. Funny I said you didn't offer that before they showed up. Her face fell like she'd expected me to cave, like she still didn't understand I wasn't playing her role anymore. Finally, Dad spoke. You're not perfect either, Rachel. You think this makes you some kind of hero? I looked him dead in the eye. No, it makes me free. I stood. This time, no one tried to stop me. No one begged. I walked to the door, and when it closed behind me, it didn't feel like leaving. It felt like release. 2 weeks later, I was gone. Out of state. New town. New lease in my own name. A small upstairs unit in a quiet Minnesota neighborhood where no one knew my last name or my sister's, where the only knock on my door came from the mailman, where peace wasn't a reward I had to earn by being good, it just was. I spent my first weekend putting together flat-pack furniture, sipping coffee in silence, and watching the sunrise through clean windows. No requests, no guilt, just breath. Then, 3 weeks in, a letter arrived. No return address. Neat, deliberate handwriting. Inside was a folded note and a check. I don't expect you to forgive me, but thank you for doing what I never had the courage to. Marcus. The check covered half the dinner bill from La Sorella. I didn't cash it. I didn't need to. He didn't owe me anything. But he saw it. That was enough. The rest of them, I never heard from them again. Not for Christmas. Not when Dad had surgery. Not even when Ava lost her job. I only found out from a mutual cousin's Facebook post. And that silence. It used to feel like punishment. Now it feels like air. A few weeks ago at the grocery store, someone from back home recognized me. Hey, wait, aren't you Ava's sister? I smiled. No, I said, just like that. If you've ever chosen peace over apology, you don't owe them a reason. Just breathe.